Clerk.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the Minister will be unsurprised to learn that I cannot bring myself to support the motion before the House. And that's for three very, very important reasons, Speaker. For a start, offshore processing is immoral. We have a moral obligation as a country of integrity that respects law. We have a moral responsibility that when someone approaches our shores or reaches our shores and claims to be fleeing for their life or claims to be fleeing persecution, we have a responsibility to take them in, to give them protection, to hear their claim, and if their claim is accurate, to be given permanent refuge in our lucky country. Secondly, Speaker, offshore processing is illegal under international law, and that is beyond dispute. For a start, it is a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute to forcibly remove any person to a third country and to keep them indefinitely in inhumane conditions without charge. Now, the government would say, Deputy Speaker, that the people who are on Nauru live on an open island, can move freely about the island. But that is really to mischaracterise what goes on Nauru. It's a little speck near the equator in the middle of nowhere, stiflingly hot, where the people who are there, by the actions of the Australian government, have no opportunities, no future. It is a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute. And I would add, Deputy Speaker, there's any number of international agreements that Australia contravenes with its current response to asylum seekers. Agreements that were signed up to and ratified by people in this place who thought they could trust future governments, future politicians to honour those agreements because they mattered then and they matter now. Now, Deputy Speaker, the government would say, the Minister would say that the current regime with sovereign borders and offshore processing, it works and it has stopped the boats. But the end does not justify the means, Deputy Speaker, and in particular when there are other approaches that we really should be considering and exploring. You know, what today was, or 4 months ago or whatever it was, what that was an opportunity for us to come into this place and to debate and explore the possibility of other responses to irregular immigrants. You know, to ask ourselves, are there other ways of stopping the boats, stopping drowning at seas, which had integrity and which were consistent with international law? But we haven't done that. And Deputy Speaker, I lament to reflect that I've now brought into this place an alternative, my own refugee bill. I brought it in on at least 2 occasions, and on both those occasions it received no support from the government of the day, nor the opposition of the day, even though it is an alternative approach that would be consistent with international law, which is consistent with the members of the UNHCR that I've consulted, which is consistent with the lawyers at the Kaldor Centre when I've consulted with them. In essence, Deputy Speaker, what we should be talking about is taking this opportunity to end offshore processing and to instead to establish a genuinely regional solution in the Asia-Pacific. A genuine regional response consistent with international law and overseen by the UNHCR. And that's what I have proposed twice, that we have an Asia-Pacific asylum seeker solution, one where participating countries would establish reception centres where asylum seekers in the region or moving through the region would register and have all of their essential needs met, where they'd have a roof over their head, they would have food, they would have medical attention, they would have legal representation, they would have schools for their kiddies, something that is humane and consistent with international law. Reception centres where asylum seekers could register their claims, and they could also register preferred destination countries. And if that destination country's quota allows it, those asylum seekers would be processed and settled there. All of this, Deputy Speaker, would be consistent with the principles of family unity and the best interest of the child, and all the time compliant with all of the international agreements we have signed up to. Deputy Speaker, I don't want to take the time of the House too much longer because I know a number of my colleagues are keen to say a few words. So can I just say in summary, this was an opportunity to think afresh. This was an opportunity to end offshore processing. This was an opportunity to invent a humane and legal response, one that would just as effectively destroy the business model of the people smugglers. And I agree with the opposition, I agree with the government, I agree with what's been said. The villains in this are the people smugglers and the way they prey on some of the most vulnerable people on the planet. I do not defend them one bit, and I agree with the government and the opposition. We must do everything we can to disrupt them and to shut them down and to protect people, almost all of whom are genuinely fleeing for their life. But continuing offshore processing is not the way to do it. We should be the exemplar among the community of nations by showing there are other ways to do it which have integrity, which are consistent with international law, are consistent with the countless international agreements we've signed up to in good faith, but which for years we have been patently in breach of. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.